All right, so we're diving into some RoleCatcher resources today for any of you out there getting ready for a visual arts teacher interview.
It's a pretty exciting time to be going for this kind of position.
It really is. We're calling this our personal prep session, deep dive into landing that dream art teaching gig.
And you know what I think is really cool about RoleCatcher is that it's not just like a static guide or something.
Right.
It uses AI to help you like really tailor your CV and cover letter to match specific job descriptions.
Yeah, that's so important these days.
Oh, it's huge, especially in such a competitive job market. Like today, you need any advantage you can get.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with so many employers now using those automated screening systems.
Ugh, I know.
RoleCatcher can really help you get past those digital gatekeepers and get you right into the interview chair.
Exactly.
But before we get there, let's take a quick look at what RoleCatcher's Visual Arts Teacher Career Guide tells us about the job itself.
Sure. So it kind of emphasizes that it's about so much more than just the technical skills.
I was going to say, it's not just about being able to, like, draw or paint.
Right.
Oh.
You're nurturing creativity and self-expression in those students.
Right.
Blending art history with hands-on learning, helping students find their own artistic voices.
It's about sparking that passion for art.
Yes, precisely.
I love that.
And they even talk about the potential career paths and different stages you might progress through from entry level to lead visual arts teacher.
Wow.
You know, so you can kind of see where you might go in the future.
Yeah. So let's say you've aced your CV and your cover letter with RoleCatcher's AI help.
Okay.
You've landed that interview. Now comes the really fun part, tackling those interview questions.
Yeah, the interview.
RoleCatcher has a whole bunch of sample questions to help you prepare.
Yes, and don't forget, those sample questions are just a starting point. You know what I mean?
Right.
RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your answers and give you feedback specific to the job you're applying for.
That's incredible.
That's almost like having a personal interview coach.
Wow. Okay. Let's dive into some of these questions.
Okay.
First up, can you tell us about your experience teaching visual arts?
Oh, a classic.
What's the best way to approach this one?
So here, you really want to showcase the depth and the relevance of your experience.
So don't just list, like, places you've worked or...
Yeah, don't just give them a list.
Yeah.
You really want to highlight those unique teaching environments.
Okay.
The age groups you've worked with, any special projects you've undertaken.
So be specific and kind of paint a vivid picture of your teaching journey.
Exactly.
So instead of saying, like, I taught art at a summer camp,
Yeah.
you might say, I developed and led a digital photography course for high school students at a summer camp specializing in media arts.
Perfect. Yes. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, great.
You've added context, showcased your skills, made your experience more memorable.
Love it.
And be ready for follow-up questions like, what was your biggest challenge in that role?
Right, because they want to see how you handle difficulties and what you learn from those experiences.
Exactly. They want to know how you think.
Okay, next question. How do you incorporate technology into your visual arts lessons? I feel like this is a chance to get creative.
Oh, this is a fun one.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity to really shine and demonstrate your innovative approach to teaching.
I imagine some people just go straight to, oh, I use the smartboard.
Right. Think beyond the obvious. Maybe you've used virtual reality field trips to museums or introduced digital sculpting tools.
That's cool.
It's all about showing you're not afraid to embrace technology as a tool for artistic exploration.
So it's not just about using technology for the sake of it. It's about using it thoughtfully to enhance the creative process.
Precisely. And, you know, they might ask a follow-up.
Like what?
How do you ensure that technology enhances rather than distracts from the creative process?
Right, because there's two sides to that coin.
Exactly. And that shows you're aware of the potential pitfalls and have thought about strategies to avoid them.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, so be ready for that.
Okay, moving on to a question about assessment. How do you assess your students' progress in visual arts? This one feels tricky.
It is a little tricky.
Because art is so subjective.
Right. It's not as straightforward as grading a math test or something.
Right, exactly.
But that's what makes your answer so important.
Yeah.
You need to demonstrate that you understand that assessment is about more than just grades, you know?
Yeah.
Talk about methods like portfolio reviews, self-assessments, peer critiques.
I like that.
And how these can be tailored to different learning styles.
So show a holistic approach to evaluation.
Exactly.
And what about follow-up questions on this one?
I think they might ask something like, how do you provide feedback that is both encouraging and constructive?
Oh, that's good.
Recognizing individual progress, but also challenging students to grow.
Right.
Be prepared to address the balance between that subjective artistic expression and objective skill assessment.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, next up. How do you adapt your lessons to accommodate different learning styles and abilities?
Oh, this is a core skill for any teacher.
Absolutely.
This is about showcasing your ability to create an inclusive learning environment where every student can thrive.
So we're not just speaking general.
Oh, no. Give specific examples.
Okay.
Maybe you use visual aids for visual learners, kinesthetic activities for those who learn by doing,
Okay.
or break down complex tasks into smaller steps for students who need additional support.
So it's about demonstrating that you can adapt your teaching methods to meet the unique needs of each student.
Exactly. And they might follow up with something like, how do you identify different learning styles in your students?
That makes sense.
It shows you're proactive in understanding their needs, not just reacting to them.
That's a really insightful approach. Okay, now let's move on to a question that gets to the heart of teaching art. How do you encourage creativity and self-expression in your students? This one feels personal.
It is personal. This is your chance to share your passion for fostering a love of art.
I love that.
And show how you create a safe and supportive environment where students feel comfortable taking risks.
Like they can really be themselves.
Exactly. And sharing a personal anecdote can be really powerful here.
Like what kind of anecdote?
Maybe tell a story about a time you helped a shy student blossom artistically.
I like that.
Yeah, it would definitely make your answer stand out and show your genuine commitment to nurturing your students' creative spirits.
That's awesome. And be prepared for follow-ups like, how do you respond to student artwork that might be unconventional or challenging?
Yes. It shows how you handle work that might push boundaries or question norms.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, next question. How do you stay up to date with current trends and developments in visual arts education? This is crucial in any field.
Oh, absolutely, especially in the fast-paced world of art.
Exactly.
This is about demonstrating a genuine passion for art and a desire to keep learning and growing.
So don't limit yourself to professional development courses.
No. Talk about following influential artists on social media, attending exhibitions, experimenting with new techniques yourself.
So anything that shows you're actively engaged with the contemporary art world.
Exactly, and be ready for a follow-up.
Like what?
What's a recent trend in visual arts that you're excited about, and how could you integrate it into your teaching?
That's a really good question.
It allows you to showcase your knowledge of contemporary art and your ability to connect it to the classroom.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and tackle a question about classroom management. How do you handle difficult or disruptive students in your classroom? This one can be tough.
It can be tough even for the most experienced teachers.
Yeah, for sure.
It's important to approach this question strategically.
Okay.
Emphasize your proactive strategies.
Give me an example.
Talk about building a positive classroom culture, establishing clear expectations, and fostering open communication to prevent issues from arising in the first place.
So it's about being preventative, not just reactive.
Precisely. And be prepared to share a specific example of a time you successfully de-escalated a difficult situation with a student.
Right, like walk us through your process.
Yeah, exactly. And a follow-up question like that would give you a chance to showcase your problem-solving skills.
Great tip. Okay, next question. How do you incorporate art history into your visual arts lessons?
I admit I sometimes find art history a bit dry.
It can be.
How can you make it engaging for students?
That's a great question. The key is to avoid making art history a detached lecture.
Okay.
Share how you've connected art history to contemporary art forms or used it as inspiration for student projects.
So, like, what do you mean?
Maybe you had students create their own interpretations of famous works or explore different artistic movements through hands-on activities.
So bringing art history to life.
Exactly. And they might follow up with, what's your favorite period in art history and how would you make it come alive for your students?
Ooh, that's a fun one.
It lets you showcase your own knowledge and enthusiasm while demonstrating your teaching methods. All right, last but certainly not least, a question that's incredibly important in today's world. How do you promote diversity and cultural awareness in your visual arts classes?
This is crucial.
Yeah.
Highlight how you expose students to art from different cultures, time periods, and styles.
So, like, do you use diverse art materials or have you collaborated with artists from various backgrounds?
Exactly. It's about showcasing your commitment to creating an inclusive and representative curriculum.
Love that. And what about follow-up questions on this one?
Well, I think they might ask, How do you address potentially sensitive cultural topics in a respectful and age-appropriate manner?
Yeah, that's super important.
It shows you're thoughtful and considerate in your approach to teaching about diversity.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground just on those sample interview questions.
We have.
It feels like I have a much better grasp of how to approach them now.
And remember, this is just a taste of what RoleCatcher offers.
Right.
They have a wealth of resources, including those AI-powered tools that can really help you personalize your preparation and fine-tune your answers.
It's like having a secret weapon in your job search arsenal.
Exactly. But even with the best tools, your own unique skills, experience, and passion are what will truly shine through.
So be confident, be yourself, and let your love for art guide you.
That's great advice.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's Career Path Insights. Can we delve a little deeper into what the guide says about career progression for visual arts teachers?
Of course, that's a great transition into the next part of our discussion.
Mhm.
So RoleCatcher doesn't just leave you hanging after the interview.
Right.
It also provides some really valuable insights into how you can, grow in your career in the visual arts education field.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's not just about landing that first job. It's about, envisioning your future career trajectory.
Yeah.
So what kind of insights does the guide offer?
Well, it outlines kind of various pathways you could take.
Okay.
Like maybe you want to become a department head and shape the curriculum for the whole art program.
So there's room for, upward mobility within a school or an institution.
Oh, absolutely. But it also acknowledges that, some teachers might want to move beyond the classroom.
Go out on their own.
Yeah, some might dream of being art directors and bringing their vision to life in different industries.
That's cool.
Or maybe pursue a career as a professional artist.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's inspiring to see those diverse possibilities kind of laid out.
It really is. And RoleCatcher doesn't just present these paths. It gives you practical guidance on how to make those transitions happen.
Like what kind of guidance?
Well, for aspiring leaders, it recommends pursuing advanced degrees like a master's in art education or educational leadership.
Makes sense.
It also emphasizes going to workshops and conferences.
So networking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Networking, staying abreast of the latest trends.
So it's about combining formal education with real-world experience and connections.
Exactly. And for those aiming for those art director or professional artist roles,
Wow.
it stresses the importance of building a strong professional portfolio to showcase your skills and vision.
Yeah, you got to be able to show what you can do.
Absolutely.
Now, does the guide mention anything about certifications?
Oh, yeah, it does.
Because I've heard those can be valuable in education.
Oh, they can add significant weight to your credentials.
Okay.
It actually has a whole section on recommended certifications.
Oh, cool.
One prominent one is, of course, teaching certification, which is often a prerequisite for public schools.
Right, that one's essential.
What about other certifications?
Another one is National Board Certification in Visual Arts.
What is that?
It's a voluntary advanced teaching credential
Oh, wow.
that recognizes educators who meet really rigorous national standards.
Wow, that sounds impressive. What are the benefits of getting national board certified?
Well, it can definitely boost your career prospects.
I can imagine.
It shows a deep commitment to your craft
Okay.
and can open doors to leadership positions, higher salaries, even opportunities to mentor other teachers. So it sounds like a valuable investment for any serious visual arts educator.
Oh, absolutely. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can personalize this even further.
Okay, how?
So if you input your current career stage and your aspirations, it can suggest specific certifications or professional development opportunities that align with your goals.
It's like having a personalized career advisor at your fingertips.
Exactly. And speaking of personalization, let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of those core skills and knowledge areas that RoleCatcher says are essential for visual arts teachers.
Okay.
Understanding these competencies can not only help you excel in your role, but also tailor your interview answers.
Oh, that's a great point. So what are some of the key skills RoleCatcher highlights?
Well, at the top of the list is instructing, which might seem kind of obvious,
Yeah.
but it's more than just showing techniques.
Okay.
It's about effective communication, patience, and being able to break down complex concepts into manageable steps for your students.
It's about being a clear and engaging teacher who can inspire a love of learning.
Exactly. And then speaking is also crucial. You'll be communicating constantly with students, colleagues, parents.
So strong communication skills are essential, both written and spoken.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher also emphasizes reading comprehension as a vital skill.
Which might seem basic, but
But it's about more than just understanding words on a page.
you mean it goes deeper than that?
Yes. It's about critically analyzing educational research curriculum materials, even art criticism,
Okay.
and then applying those insights to your teaching practice.
So you need to be able to understand and synthesize information from a lot of different sources.
Precisely. And then, of course, active learning is essential in any field, but especially in one as dynamic and evolving as visual arts.
So it's not just about teaching, it's about being a lifelong learner yourself, right?
Exactly. Visual arts teachers need to stay up to date on new trends, techniques, technologies.
Yeah, they have to keep learning.
They have to be constantly seeking out new knowledge and refining their own practice.
Makes sense.
And that ties into another key skill, learning strategies.
Okay, what does that involve?
It's about being able to select and use the most appropriate instructional methods and procedures for different learning situations, being adaptable and responsive to your students' needs.
So it connects back to that idea of differentiating instruction for different learning styles and abilities that we talked about earlier with those interview questions.
It all comes full circle.
I like that.
And another crucial skill that we can't overlook is active listening.
I can see how that's important for building relationships with students and creating a supportive learning environment.
Absolutely. It's about being fully present, paying attention to both verbal and nonverbal cues,
Right.
and responding thoughtfully to your students' questions and concerns.
And I imagine this is especially important in a field like visual arts, where students are expressing themselves creatively and often sharing very personal work.
That's such a good point. You need to be sensitive and attuned to their creative processes.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've talked about some of the core interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
What about the knowledge areas that are essential for visual arts teachers?
Okay, so unsurprisingly, fine arts is top of the list.
Makes sense.
It encompasses a deep knowledge of the theory and techniques required to create art in various mediums.
So this includes drawing, painting, sculpting, printmaking, and potentially digital art as well.
Exactly. And it's not just about being proficient in these techniques yourself. It's about teaching them effectively to others.
Right. You need to be both an artist and an educator.
Precisely. RoleCatcher also highlights education and training as a key knowledge area.
Which makes sense because teaching is a very specialized field with its own theories, methodologies, best practices.
Right. So teachers need to be well-versed in those educational principles.
So they need to understand curriculum development, lesson planning, assessment methods, and classroom management techniques.
Exactly. And they need to stay informed about the latest research and trends in art education.
It's about being a well-rounded educator, not just someone who's skilled in art.
Exactly. And while it might seem obvious, native language is also crucial for clear communication.
That's essential for providing feedback on student work, writing lesson plans, communicating with parents.
Oh yeah, navigating the whole school environment.
Exactly.
And in today's increasingly digital world, communications and media skills are more vital than ever.
How so?
Well, you might need to incorporate technology into your lessons, communicate with students and parents online,
Oh, yeah.
create digital portfolios of student work,
Right.
or even use social media to showcase their creativity
That's a good point.
and engage with the wider art community.
So it's about being a tech-savvy educator who can adapt to the evolving landscape of communication and media.
Precisely. And it's worth noting that RoleCatcher also emphasizes the importance of knowledge in areas like philosophy and theology,
Okay.
history and archaeology, psychology, and even sociology and anthropology.
Those seem a little less directly related to teaching art. Why are they important?
They provide a broader context and understanding of the role of art in society and human culture.
I see.
For example, knowledge of philosophy can help teachers guide discussions about aesthetics and meaning.
Right.
History can inform teaching of art history and different movements. Psychology can provide insights into child development and different learning styles.
That makes sense.
Sociology and anthropology can help them understand the cultural influences that shape art.
Wow. So it's about seeing art through a wider lens, understanding its historical, cultural, and social significance.
Exactly. It's about being a well-rounded educator who can connect art to the bigger picture.
This has been incredibly helpful. I feel like I have a much deeper understanding of what it takes to be a successful visual arts teacher.
And remember, RoleCatcher provides in-depth guides on all of these skills and knowledge areas so you can really explore them
Awesome.
and identify any areas where you might want to strengthen your expertise.
Okay, before we move on, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier, RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools for interview prep.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit on how those work?
Of course, that's a perfect segue into the next part of our discussion. Okay, so we've talked about the visual arts teaching profession, the career paths and how to answer those interview questions.
Right, and like how to really shine in those interviews.
Yeah.
But let's be real, getting to that interview stage is a challenge in itself.
You're right. The job search can be a real maze,
It can feel so daunting.
especially in a competitive field like education.
So how can RoleCatcher help with that? It's not just an interview prep tool, is it?
No, it's so much more. It's really a comprehensive job search platform
Oh, wow.
designed to support you like every step of the way.
I like that.
And one of the most powerful features is its massive employer database.
You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Just how big is this database?
Over 9 million employer records.
9 million.
It's huge.
That's mind-boggling. So how can you even begin to navigate a database that large?
RoleCatcher makes it surprisingly easy.
Okay.
You can filter by industry location, company size, you name it.
So if I'm specifically looking for visual arts teaching positions, I could narrow my search to schools or art institutions in my area.
Exactly. You can really focus on the opportunities that align with your goals.
I like that. And once you've identified some potential employers,
Yeah.
does RoleCatcher give you more information about them?
They provide direct links to their websites and social media profiles so you can research their values, mission, and culture.
So it's all about finding the right fit.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
RoleCatcher offers a feature called Get Discovered.
Get discovered.
Yeah, it flips the traditional job search model on its head.
How so?
So if you opt into this feature, employers who are registered on RoleCatcher can actually search for candidates based on their skills and experience.
So I'm not just passively applying for jobs, they're finding me.
Exactly. It's like having a digital headhunter working for you 24/7.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's say I've identified some potential employers.
Okay.
I've researched their organizations and I've put myself out there to be discovered.
You're on a roll.
What's next in this RoleCatcher-powered job search?
Then you use their jobs feature.
Jobs.
Yeah, think of it like a job board within the platform.
So I can look for specific job openings.
Yes. Within those organizations you've already shortlisted.
That makes a lot of sense. And is that where the AI magic comes in again?
Yes. RoleCatcher can analyze those job descriptions and suggest ways to tailor your CV and cover letter.
This is where that beating the automated recruiter feature really comes into play.
Exactly. It helps you maximize your chances of getting shortlisted.
By making sure everything aligns with what the employer's looking for.
Precisely.
It's like having a personalized strategy session for each job application.
That's a great way to put it. And they even have tips on how to answer those application questions effectively.
Right.
They have this feature called Optimize with AI applications that analyzes your responses
Oh, wow.
and suggests improvements.
So you're not just throwing your application out there and hoping for the best. You're really giving it your best shot.
Exactly. And once you've submitted your applications,
RoleCatcher's network feature helps you stay organized and track everything.
so you can like import your contacts and stuff.
Yeah, categorize them, link them to specific job applications.
It's like a CRM system for your job search.
That's exactly it. RoleCatcher really does cover every stage of the job search process.
So what does all of this mean for our listeners who are getting ready for visual arts teaching interviews?
It means you're not alone. RoleCatcher's got your back,
I like that.
providing the tools, insights, and that awesome AI assistance you need to land that dream job.
So it's like you're not just gaining knowledge about the job and the interview process, you're gaining a real competitive edge.
Yes, you said it perfectly.
And here's a final thought for our listeners as they're embarking on this exciting career path.
Okay.
RoleCatcher mentions contextualizing artistic work as a key skill.
It's an important one.
How do you think the broader social or political landscape influences art, and how might you bring that awareness into the classroom? That's a great question and something to really think about as you step into this role.
Because you're shaping young minds to see the world through an artistic lens.
Exactly. You're not just teaching techniques, you're cultivating creativity, critical thinking, and a lifelong appreciation for art.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Good luck with your interviews, everyone. And remember, RoleCatcher is there to help.
Best of luck.